Greetings and welcome to the Sports Card Ripping Teacher. We are here Thursday morning because we are going on a field trip today. We'll be back at school for lunch, but our lunch period's pushed back an hour. And I gotta make a phone call during that time. As I told you about maybe 3 months ago, my dad did have back surgery. The recovery went well. And as he says, when you're in your 70s, you're just always recovering. But today he's having a procedure done to get his heart back on rhythm. Now, that may seem a little bit more serious than what it is, but he said it's no big deal. Little anesthesia, they kind of give you a shock, and he's kind of planning where they're going to lunch later on this afternoon. So that's why we're coming at you early today, folks. All right, class is in session. Today's lesson is dedicated to the number 64, which is actually one of my dad's favorite football players, Jerry Kramer. Now, Jerry Kramer, he was a offensive lineman, a guard, for 5 of Vince Lombardi's championship teams, including Super Bowl I and II. And I went back, I watched his Hall of Fame speech last night, and then a couple times actually this morning. It's phenomenal. I suggest maybe even stopping my video and search it and watch it. It's great. So it began with him in high school, and he had that, that 1 foot growth spurt, and you're just awkward. If you're not, like a lot of weight on you, you're just awkward. And he was not playing very well. And one of his coaches came over to him. He kind of noticed it. And he said, what's wrong? Kind of told him. They talked about it a little bit. And then he grabbed Jerry's hand. And he said, you got big hands. And then he looked down at his feet. You got big feet. You're going to grow into this body, son. And when you do, you're going to be an awesome football player. That kind of got Jerry, chest pumped up a little bit. And then the coach said, you can if you will. You can if you will. It's always dangerous to tell kids, especially the high school age, things they have to infer. So Jerry said, can what? He repeated again, you can if you will. And eventually Jerry did get the meaning of that saying. And he went on, he played football in college, and then he was drafted. And when he was drafted, one of his classmates came to class and said, Jerry, you've been drafted. He said, great. Where? Green Bay. And then he said, where in the world is Green Bay? So they had to get a map out, look it up. So Jerry became a Green Bay Packer. And he was there before Vince Lombardi. And then Vince Lombardi came and things changed. So here is what Vince Lombardi said to Jerry Kramer. Kramer, the concentration period of a college student is 30 minutes, maybe less. Of a high school student, 15 minutes, maybe less. In junior high, it's about 5 minutes. And in kindergarten, it's only about 1 minute. You can't remember anything for even 1 minute. Where does that put you? So Jerry just kind of put his head down right away and just kind of felt bad. Practice was over. He went into the locker room, kind of sulking a little bit. And one thing I've either read about or heard, the players always said that media, fans, they hear about the wrath of Lombardi. They very rarely hear about the gentle side of Vince Lombardi. And Vince Lombardi went over to Jerry Kramer. No one else was in the locker room and kind of, pat him on the back a little bit. Say, you know what, son? One day you are going to be the greatest guard in the history of the National Football League. And all of a sudden, Jerry's chest, every muscle in his body was just full of energy. That approval and belief by his coach made him into one of the best guards in the National Football League. And that's one thing I want us all to remember a little bit as either we're coaching or like teaching. Just belief and approval of your students, your children, means so much to them. Now, one last thing. Towards the end of the speech, he talked about one of his teammates, and Jerry was coming off of surgery, and he was pretty weak. He was not able to do all of the running, all the calisthenics. One of his teammates came over and said, you know what? Whatever you can't do, I will do for you. And those are the team stories that just gets me fired up, wishing I could still be playing today. So a couple of things, folks. Remember, you can if you will, and approval and belief. All right, we're going to do what no other channel is going to do. I guarantee it. We're going Jerry Kramer hunting. So I did switch things up a little bit. I did, knowing that the number 64 was coming up and that Jerry Kramer is in this product, I went to Target over the weekend, and they actually had some fat packs. It was just luck, folks. It was meant to be. So let's see if we can get a Jerry Kramer card. I don't even want a case hit today. Let's get a Jerry Kramer card for my old man today. Peyton Manning. There was a good story in there before Vince Lombardi came. The Colts had beat the Green Bay Packers like 56-0. And Jerry Kramer said, you know, back in those days, a white colt ran around the stadium every time that there was a touchdown. And Jerry said, we almost killed that horse. He had to run around the field so many times. Mike Williams, think he's injured for the year. Dwight Stevenson. Treylon Burks. National pride of Dalvin Cook. Not playing too much for the Jets. Luke Musgrave, he's playing pretty decent for the Green Bay Packers here of late. Clark Phillips II. And we've got here A.J. Brown in the silver. Whenever things are backwards, I always kind of think, could it be? Maybe, by knowing this product, that was going to be the silver. Cameron Latou. Kyle Pitts was my demise in the Fantasy Ripple League this past week. Cortland Sutton playing pretty well. He is playing pretty well for the Denver Broncos. Kenneth Walker III. These pink camos are sharp. Oh man, Wildcat, he's going crazy. Touchdown Masters. They picked a good picture for this year. And Thunder Lane of Freight Gore. So card of the day is definitely Jerry Kramer. Dad, hope you're doing well. He never watches the show actually, so maybe I'll send this one to him. Maybe he'll watch it. I went through this whole thing setting up YouTube for him. We were down there last time and I know he doesn't watch. So anyways, tomorrow's downtown hunting. Class is dismissed. So class is not dismissed. I totally forgot about the VR that I wanted to do for Basement Card Collector. That's right. He has had his 50th TTM returned. Graham and I, we did a couple. We're still waiting on the return of those, so we're a little bit jealous about 50. We're waiting on 2. But we do know it is a little bit of a waiting game. So I do want to go through the people in the hobby that I have been thankful for. And I always kind of sometimes like don't do these just because I always leave people off. So first and foremost, if you watch my video, you know, just some bozo here from the South Side Chicago doing videos during his lunch break, I do appreciate you. I have more and more fun doing it. It's kind of just like a calming thing for me to do, actually, just some of the research for the player of the day. So I do enjoy them. I like seeing the comments. I always have a hard time always just keeping up with comments and watching other people's videos. I want to kind of do a balance of both. So if I'm in a pinch, sometimes I go towards just watching other people's videos, support them, and then hopefully maybe get to some of the comments later on. But first and foremost, thankful for the very first person to comment on a video, Jamie Borg. And it was, man, oh man, the setup I had was very pedestrian. Nothing was really there. It was on maybe the first day that I came in and set up my classroom for the year. And I was like, holy cow, he must be lost. But Jamie, we definitely always appreciate you. And then Wildcat, Uncle Wild, always commenting on our football videos, watching some baseball videos. In fact, he's a little bit of a fan, I think, maybe, but also kind of like promoting the channel, telling people in the Spinach Hunt about us, in other places as well. Fantasy Rip League. In fact, the pack that I just opened up now would be a good pack for the Fantasy Rip League. All those parallels in there, but I'm not in this heat any longer. Also being a supporter of Graham, always watching the videos when Jax is in there regardless of what he opens. So Uncle Wild is what we call him. We're definitely thankful for you. And then Mr. 95 Cents, always enjoy watching his videos, making us one of his featured channels down at the bottom. I enjoy his stories. God is great, shouting out us and other channels. We always appreciate him, seeing him in the live streams when he calls us out, knows who we are and everything. So we always appreciate seeing him, whether we're in someone else's live stream or in our videos. And then we're going to go to those that were our judges for the pack battle we did last year. Doogie's Dugout, big shout out to him. He'll also shout us out in the videos as well, whether it's a Cub or a Schwarber. J plus K Retro Gaming, we've had some battles, some blaster box battles in the past. We love doing those. In my classroom, we watch a lot of his videos during the end of the day when it's dismissal, and I'm trying to keep everyone calm down watching the Legos. And then Zach Sports Cars and Collectibles. Man, he even had me on his live stream the one day, and that was an awesome experience. Kind of fun hanging out with him. Cards by Mark, he was also one of our judges. Anytime I've won one of his contests, he tosses in some goodies for the boys. And not necessarily me, I guess, but Mark, I do appreciate you. And then Lively Card Collector gives our first big shout out. And Graham couldn't even make complete sentences when Lively mentioned the sports card ripping teacher on one of his videos. We appreciate everything that he's done for us as well. And then finally, who I kind of call, like this was a motorcycle gang. He's the one out there with the big handlebars, revving the engines. 3 good nerds. I always see them as, the person that's going to give you your cut when you're a prospect or however it works in a motorcycle gang. I should probably research that a little bit more. But Justin's always shouting out, us, different channels, making playlists. And I truly believe, we grow better together, I think is what he says. I don't want to say that exactly in case he has a trademark. But anyways, some of the lessons for today. You can if you will. Approval and belief. Class is really dismissed now, so I got to go.